I remember driving up to my cabin that Friday evening, feeling the kind of relief that only comes after months of relentless work, when your body aches and your mind never stops. My hands were sore from leaning over patients, my eyes strained from staring at charts and spreadsheets, and my back ached from hours hunched over instruments. For once, I just wanted to breathe. I wanted to feel the world slow down. I wanted a weekend that was mine. The sun was slipping behind the trees, casting the kind of burnt gold glow that makes everything look nostalgic, almost like a memory. I rolled the windows down, letting the wind rush across my face, smelling damp pine and the faint, earthy tang of the lake. I could almost feel the tension in my shoulders uncoiling. I imagined sinking into the old rocking chair on the porch, a glass of whiskey in my hand, the water glittering in front of me, my phone tucked away, no emails, no calls, no obligations. Just quiet. But then I saw the lights. Every single lamp blazing inside, shadows dancing across the windows. Music, loud, thumping music, blasting from a speaker I didn't own. 3 cars in the small gravel lot. One I recognized immediately, my brother's. The others, strangers. That knot tightened in my chest. A familiar, heavy ache. I had let them use this place before. My brother, Mark, and his wife, Vanessa, had a key. I had trusted them. But something about the scene in front of me made every memory of kindness twist into tension. I parked and walked up to the door, trying to calm my racing heart. I knocked once. Then again, louder. Nothing. The smell hit me as soon as I opened it, alcohol, perfume, and careless chaos. I stepped inside. 10 people, maybe more. Vanessa was there, leaning against the kitchen counter, a half-empty drink in her hand, grinning as if she owned the place. I froze. "What are you doing here?" she slurred, tilting her head. I swallowed. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "This is my cabin, Vanessa. What are you doing here?" Her laugh was sharp, like nails on a chalkboard. "We have a key," she said. "We can come whenever we want." I wanted to shout, to shake her. But I didn't. Instead, something deep inside me snapped quietly. I smiled, the kind of smile that hides anger and disbelief. "Okay. I'll leave," I said. And I did. Outside, I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles burned. My mind replayed everything I'd done for them. The wedding, $18,000. The rent for a year, almost $17,000. The car loan I'd covered, the emergency fund I'd trusted them with. Over $50,000 poured into their lives, and this was my gratitude. I drove home in silence, the headlights cutting through the twilight. When I got there, I poured myself a strong cup of tea and sat at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. My thoughts drifted back, memories of countless sacrifices I'd made quietly, hoping no one would notice. Every time Mark asked for help, every time Vanessa complained about money or life, I had said yes. Always yes. Until now. That night, I made a decision. The next morning, I started reclaiming my life. I canceled the rent payments. I stopped covering the car loan. I removed Mark from the emergency account I had trusted him with. I didn't call. I didn't explain. I didn't negotiate. I just did what I had to do. My money, my boundaries, my life, it was mine again. A week later, the calls started. Mark yelling, Vanessa sending venomous texts. Greedy, selfish, bitter, entitled. I read every single one, letting them wash over me. And then I laughed. Not a polite chuckle, not a nervous snort, but a full, breathless release of everything I'd been holding inside for months, years even. Then came the locks. I drove back to the cabin that weekend. A locksmith was waiting, and within minutes, every lock was changed. New keys, new deadbolt. Mine. All mine. I stepped inside, the air smelling of pine and lake water, of damp earth and old wood. The world felt lighter. For the first time in a long time, it felt like the cabin belonged to me again, not to anyone else's chaos. I spent the weekend in silence, wandering along the shore, the water lapping at the edges of the dock, the sun setting behind the trees in a golden blaze. I closed my eyes and let the wind brush my face, let the water reflect in my eyes. Peace was mine again. Pure, unbroken. Weeks went by. My parents called, complaining about Vanessa, about Mark, about the mess that had followed their reckless behavior. I listened quietly. I didn't intervene. I let the consequences fall where they would. And fall they did. Mark evicted, Vanessa gone, a divorce finalized. Mark slowly rebuilt his life, learning in the hard, honest way what respect and boundaries really meant. I went back to work. I went back to the cabin. The world felt lighter. I realized something fundamental, the quiet, the boundaries, the ownership of my own life, that was happiness. That was freedom. I didn't need anyone's approval. I didn't need anyone's gratitude. I only needed to know that I could protect myself without apology. That weekend by the lake, alone, with the sunlight glinting on the water, I smiled in a way I hadn't smiled in years. Not the polite, forced smiles I had given to everyone else, but a real one. I remembered the sacrifices I'd made, the kindness I'd offered without question, and how easily it had been dismissed. I remembered the nights I'd lain awake, wondering if I was too soft, too naive, too giving. I remembered the frustration that bubbled up quietly as I watched Vanessa walk through my cabin like she owned it. And then I remembered the moment I decided enough was enough. The locks. The canceled payments. The boundaries drawn in ink and steel. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't a punishment. It was reclamation. Reclaiming my time, my money, my peace, my dignity. I felt something shift inside me, a weight lifting off my chest. Months passed, and life unfolded quietly. Work went well, the cabin remained a sanctuary. My parents apologized eventually, admitting they had been wrong to enable Vanessa's behavior and to pressure me. Mark and I started talking again, not deeply, not often, but with honesty and respect. He never asked for money again. And I understood something then, something I hadn't known I needed to understand: generosity is not weakness. Kindness is not foolishness. But boundaries, self-respect, and the courage to reclaim what's yours, that is strength. Sitting on the porch that evening, the water stretching infinitely before me, I felt the sun warm my face. I let the quiet sink in. The gentle lapping of the water, the wind brushing through the pine needles, the soft creak of the porch under my weight. For the first time in a long time, I felt complete. Whole. Free. No one else had to recognize it. No one else had to approve. I had done it for me. And that was enough. I smiled again, slowly, deliberately. Not at anyone. Not at anything. But at myself. At the man who had finally learned to stand firm, to protect what mattered, and to find peace in his own hands. And in that smile, I felt something I had almost forgotten: respect. From myself. And that was everything.